Good morning. We will call to order the meeting for the City of Statesboro's Mayor and Council. We will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember John Riggs.
I'd like to ask Alan Muldrew if he will do the honors for the invocation, please.
May we bow our head, please. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done in this chamber on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, I pray that you give us all that we need today, that you provide us for our food and our clothing, Lord. That we are forgiving people, Lord, that you will forgive our sins. May we forgive those who sin against us. Heavenly Father, I ask that you do not let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. And Lord, we live in an exciting time, and we just pray for your wisdom and your insight. And of those who are called you, our Lord, may we be faithful and true to the calling that you've given us. Pray these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. Rise. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have any public comments?
No, Mayor.
Right, moving down to agenda item 4, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda, approval of minutes for our September 19th work session, council minutes and executive session. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving down to agenda item 5, public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve an application for an alcohol license in accordance with the City of Statesboro Alcohol Ordinance, Section 6-13A, for Alliance Convenience Stores, 17412 U.S. Highway 301 North, Statesboro, Georgia, 30458. License type package sales, beer and wine only, and Sunday sales. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, planning and zoning.
No issue.
Okay, fire inspection.
No issues.
Okay, police.
No issues, Mayor.
City attorney.
No issues.
All right, is there anyone that would like to speak for this request? Is there anyone here to speak against this request? Okay, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So
Second.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there any council discussion? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 6, public hearing and first reading of ordinance 2023-16, ordinance amending chapter 38, article 7, black tax of the Statesboro Code of Ordinances. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
For y'all today is on Article 38, Chapter 38, Article 7. This is essentially the blight tax article. And what this is it allows for designation of properties to be as blighted. And what happens at that point is they do have a multiplier put on their property tax rate, and that's the stick there. There's also a carrot, though, that if they get it out of blighted condition, there's a large reduction in property tax rates for 3 years. 38-161 sets out the conditions that must be in place for in order for a property to be designated as blighted. Designation would be by our code officials, and 38-162 sets out the levy of increased ad valorem tax on real property. And what we have here is a factor of 7 of the millage rate applied to the property, so property taxes would be 7 times what it would be otherwise if they were not in blighted condition. I do want to point out a couple exceptions. This is possible to put this blighted designation on all properties all real property in the city, except for 2 major exceptions. One is any residential property on where someone lives. That cannot be designated as blighted, and also detached single is blighted or subjected to the increased tax rate. And there's also 38-164 sets out the process for remediation, which allows for the reduced ad valorem taxes on the real property. And that's essentially it. So this is on the this is in our code right now, but the multiplier is down to 0.1, so it's essentially, ineffective. But this would get it to 7.0 where it would be effective. And we've got those two exceptions that y'all asked for. If you're living there, anyone's living there, you can't be blighted. If it's an attached single-family home, you can't be blighted. Everything else can be designated as such if it meets two or more of those conditions as set out in 38-161.
Thank you, Ken. All right. Is there anyone here to speak for this request? All right. Is there anyone here to speak against this request? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Is there any council discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I can, King Lee had asked that the tax number, the 7.0, instead of being identified in the ordinance, make a reference back to the rate and schedule of fees, and then the number would be in there. That way council is every year looking at that number and adjusting it accordingly, or removing it totally.
That's very feasible, and that's not a problem. And I also don't think that will revert it back to first reading, because we're going to have further discussion on what that property tax rate would be. So what I can do is I can just bring this back for second reading, and in it designate that elevator will be included in the rates and schedules, fines, and fees.
And so that means that you would not be able to bring it back. You don't have to bring it back for a second reading, correct?
I'm going to bring it back as a second. I'm not going to revert back to first reading, because we're still going to have council discussion on what that rate is going to be. So, that's still there for another day.
Okay.
But we can go ahead and set a rate when we, if y'all approve it at second reading.
Okay. So council, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we had agreed upon 7.
Mayor, it's not about changing the number, it's just about putting that number in the rates and schedule of fees, which is where we put all our tax rates and fees, and so that's all I'm asking for. The number 7 is not going to change, it's just the number 7 itself is just going to move from the ordinance to the rate of schedule of fees. Just we've tried to move all those rates and fees out of the ordinances, because that becomes confusing, and you got to change the ordinance every time. This way, all you got to do is change the fee, and the ordinance doesn't change.
Yeah, I appreciate that insight, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is when we had our discussion, when we do get to that point, I felt that the council was comfortable with 7. I know we tossed around 2 numbers, and I think the council came back to it being 7. Because at this point, what I have no problem with, and this is totally at the council's pleasure, is that we go ahead and forego the second reading and just go ahead and it has to be unanimous. And so the council has to be comfortable with it, but I'm comfortable with going ahead and,
Formalities and moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just go ahead and wrap it up in this meeting, and that way we don't have to come back to it again. We can just move forward. I'm comfortable with that, but council, you can give me some feedback on that.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I specifically asked for a rewrite, and you said you're going to have to adjust the ordinance, so I will be against
Okay.
waiving the rules, because we still need to see the new language.
Okay. It's fine with me, but as I understand it, we know what that new language is going to be. But if all the council is not comfortable with that, I'm absolutely fine with it, either way.
Are you saying not handle the second reading?
Yeah, because we already know what the new writing is going to be, just implement it all right now. And then that way it becomes law. Instead of, having a second reading. But it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It doesn't matter. But I know we need to
Can we do that? Like, have we done that before?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
It's got to be unanimous.
Yeah, it has to be unanimous. That's why I said.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
So Councilman Boyum already.
Yeah, he's already said it.
So that's all.
But I just want the council to know that I was comfortable with that. But
To be clear, y'all, I just want to see the actual words on the page. I mean, if I'm going to pass an ordinance, I want to see the specific ordinance written out.
Yeah.
Since we don't have that language in front of us right now, even though we know air quote what it's going to be, I'd like to actually see it.
Yeah, that's absolutely,
That's all.
that's absolutely fine. So let's get a one unanimous, vote. Is there a motion to move forward?
Mr. Mayor, may I
To
clarify?
approve the first reading? So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with the changes.
Hold on, Kane, Phil, Councilwoman Barr has the floor.
Are you, I'm just trying to be sure I'm understanding, are you okay with what Councilmember Boyum is saying about changing the language? So instead of it specifically saying 7, it says per the rated schedule, which the council looks at every year. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be clarified, thank you.
All right, so is there a motion to move forward? For the second reading?
So
To approve the first reading with the changes, so moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good deal. All right. We'll move down to agenda item 7, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2023-44, a resolution approving application for funding for the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority to conduct a lead and water service line study. Mr. Pinto.
Mayor and members of the council, cities are being required by the Environmental Protection Agency to examine and investigate the service lines in their community for lead. And we had the opportunity to apply for a grant, and actually the grant was due this past Friday, and we did submit the grant. However, we are asking for your authorization, but we didn't believe you would want us to miss out on the opportunity for the grant, so we went ahead and submitted it on Friday. But the city potentially could receive a grant to assist in that inspection of up to about $650,000. And so we recommend approval to you, and that's what we're asking for today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pinto. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 8, consideration of a motion to award a contract to Victory Farms Sidescapes LLC in the not to exceed amount of $61,200 for supplemental maintenance of the East Side Cemetery. Mr. Pinto.
Mayor and members of the council, in our parks department, we use our maintenance folks for maintenance all over the city, and part of that is in the cemetery as well. And the demand to maintain the cemetery and keeping it looking good, staff just believes it'd be more advantageous to contract, and we bid the service out, and we're recommending the award to Victory Farms Sidescapes LLC in the amount of $61,200. And basically what this does, this is during the growing season, so so in the meantime, if anything comes up, our folks are available. This has nothing to do with service as far as opening graves and things of that nature. This is simply for ensuring that the cemetery is well manicured and clean.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, move on to agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to award a contract to S.A. Brown Enterprises in the amount of $128,140 for the Bullock Street Sidewalk Project. Project will be funded from 2018 T-SPLOST. Mr. Pinto, is there anything you can add there?
And no, sir, we do recommend approval.
All right, thank you. All right, is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 10, consideration of a motion to award a contract to S.A. Brown Enterprises in the amount of $100,250 for the sidewalk improvement project. Project will be funded from the 2018 T-SPLOST fund. Mr. Penny, anything you can
The only thing, I did ask my staff why we had to do two different items, and one is the way they're programmed in the CIP is the reason that you're seeing two different items, but we do recommend approval.
add? Thank you, Mr. Penny. All right, any discussion by council?
Mr. Penny, if I read it correctly, this is part of a larger project to connect sidewalks all
Yes.
over that part of town, which I think is a wonderful use of our T-SPLOST funds, so thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Let's move on to agenda item 11. Consideration of a motion authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement and related documents for right-of-way and easement acquisition at 323 West Main Street for the West Main Street Sidewalk Project. Funding is provided for the 2018 T-SPLOST. Mr. Penny, any insight?
Mayor and council, as we continue to do these projects, we need to acquire right of way, and this is just a continuation of that process. We do recommend approval of this purchase.
Thank you. Any discussion by council?
Well, I was just going to comment on Councilwoman Barr's comment last time, and just let you know that kind of the long-term plan for streets and public works is to, the idea is to connect all the parks in the city with a sidewalk, so you can get to any park, from any park, without leaving the sidewalk. So I think that's a good long-term goal, and these are all part of the long-term plan, so I think it's great.
All right, thank you, Councilman. All right, any further discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, just reiterating, make the city more walkable. You know, for years it's been where cars could speed through, and now we're recognizing industry-wide and citywide, we want people downtown and we don't want them to get run over. So, yeah, more sidewalks, more walkability is great for all.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's move on to agenda item 11, consideration of a motion to amend the West Main Street Drainage Improvements Project contract with McLennan Enterprises in the amount of $119,947.44. This work will be paid for by fund balance in the 2018 T-SPLOST fund.
Mayor, members of the council, this is a change order. If you remember, on West Main Street, we had a major project, and we don't like to do change orders after the fact, but when you have the street closed for 6 or 8 weeks, and those things come up, we don't always have the opportunity to come to you and get it done, and if we had waited, we still have the street closed. And so we proceeded and authorized the work, and these are just 2 change orders that actually help us close that project out. We do recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. All right, any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We move down to agenda item 13, other business from city council. Councilwoman Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alan just reminded me this morning to be sure and share that it's First Friday time again, and in October they do the Ag Night Out. So that's a fun night at First Friday, 5:30 till 7:30, 8 o'clock. Big tractors and farm animals and vendors and all kind of fun things going on downtown Friday night. So y'all come.
All right, thank you, Sheriff. Anything further from council? All right, we move on to agenda item 14, city manager's comments.
Mayor, members of the council, I wanted to just call your attention to 2 things I want to mention. One has to do with transit. In your FYI packet, you'll see we're giving a transit. Go ahead. Go ahead. Y'all need to go back. I'm sorry. Okay. The transit report, we're seeing ridership increase. We also want to just call out, and I think Marcus may have done this at the last meeting, but the Marks 2. The Habitat did get a grant and talked with Kathy Jenkins on yesterday. So we're going to, the grant is about $9,000, and it's to help increase the information and get the word out about our transit system being available. And so we will sign a little memorandum of understanding with them that, so that they understand, we understand what they're doing, and we understand what obligation we have to provide them with our logos and things of that nature. And the grant's $9,000, but again, it's a good way to help hopefully increase our ridership, and we are seeing that happen throughout the city as people become more aware of it. The second item I have has to do with back in 2020 during COVID, y'all had approved some funds with Action Pack. And those funds were to help people with water, sewer, electric, and natural gas bills during that time. And so those funds and that agreement has remained in place, but there's been very little activity. You had funded $62,000, and I think we spent probably about $10,000. And staff had asked a couple of things for us to consider. When it comes to water and sewer, it's very difficult to find funds to help people with water and sewer bills. And so staff had asked if we could continue to use those funds because these came from CARES Act funds. And so, but again, we haven't had a lot of activity, but part of it is the current agreement says it had to be a COVID-related issue. So what I want to just, one, see from council, if you're interested in having those funds available. And then at the next council meeting, we would bring a revised agreement to you if you are interested. If you tell me no, you can just end it. But we do know that there are people that need assistance. And these funds have been available since 2020, 2021. And here we are, 2023. And again, the water and sewer, we don't have a lot of help for. But we also have people that need funds for electric bills. Right now, what it is capped at is $175. And we aren't necessarily advocating for, we could raise that amount some, but wouldn't want to go more than about $250. But I'm not sure. Some say, well, there are more funds available for electric, and maybe we should not provide for electric. And I think if you narrow it and limit it, it makes it a little bit more difficult for our citizens that need assistance. And so, first question is it something that you're interested in continuing?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's a discussion, yeah. Yeah, we want to help. How much is in the fund? Do we know what I'm
It'd be less than $50,000 at this point, but that's still a good amount of money.
Pretty long.
And so
How much less than 50,000?
but we had 62, so we spent 10. And then,
So, the way my math works, that's 52.
but we also have to pay administrative fees every time so we have to pay them like 10%. So that's why I'm saying it's probably a little bit less than 52,000. But at the next meeting, I'll have a better accounting for it.
Okay.
But again, I just wanted to make sure it's something that you want to do.
Okay.
I did have something to say. Once you go with your
I'm good.
Well, thank you, Mr. P. I just want to commend the mayor on, there was a lot of rhetoric going on throughout the community over certain ordinances, but the mayor stepped up and rectified the questions that the people had in the community. And so I just want to applaud him for doing that because that takes courage to face angry people. And in the face of all of their anger, he stepped up and explained exactly what these ordinances mean. So we've been at it all week with this. The second thing that I want to bring up is, since our last council meeting, it's just been on my mind about, police officers. We're down 17 police officers. And like I indicated before, usually where the crime takes place is in District 2. And I feel as if we need to do some sort of push to just fill these, empty police officer spaces, so that the police can do adequate patrol, not over patrol, but adequate. We're not even up to adequate, but adequate patrol throughout the community. So we need to get those spots filled. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe some incentives. We need to do some type of push to get the police officers those spaces filled, those 17 spots. That's what I'm talking about.
Mayor, go ahead, Mayor. Well, and Madam Chambers.
Yes.
I will say that we are, Chief and them are working hard, and we have approved some recruitment incentives.
Okay.
We've also approved some incentive pay for those that will sign on with us. And so we're looking for, even if we can recruit someone from another agency, and I think there's an increased incentive if we can find that person. And so I'll say we are trying, but also recognize, and I know we are only worried about our biggest concern is states growth, but this is a countrywide issue, and so we'll push as hard as we can. Even again, I was surprised we were able to do it with the fire department, and we had to try some things to get that done. But we hear you, and we do agree with you. We need to do all we can, and we believe by paying people, and now our pay is still below Savannah. We're almost 47. They start at 50. And if we move it then, but we don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction, and we want it to be systematic, whatever we do. But we hear you, and we get the emphasis, and we're doing all we can to make sure we address that concern.
Any further comments?
Mayor, I do want to say one more thing. And I did go back and listen to your presentation, and on the event space ordinance, we are all learning, and I know y'all were hearing it, and
Yeah.
and
Like what I told y'all before, who they're gonna be calling.
yeah.
Thank you.
And we've been hearing it too, and just trying to work through in only a week. I mean, the different things that all those systems that work together and trying to help people understand that we're not trying to control down to the baby showers and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll continue working through that process and working with y'all to make sure that it's understood.
No, but it should be important to point out that we are trying to prevent incidents that happened this weekend with the shooting and brown bagging and all that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of unregulated parties that get out of control, and then somebody shows up with an AR. I mean, that's just not a good look for Statesboro. Fortunately, nobody was killed. Again, how many times, Mayor, are we going to say this? You know, fortunately, no one, even though despite a gun and multiple bullets flying all over, fortunately, no one was shot or hurt or killed. So, I mean, Statesboro's been really lucky.
Yeah, we have been. And with that being said, I do want to invite everyone that's in this room, the city in its entirety on October the 15th. Myself, Councilmember Paulette Shavers, and several members throughout the community, we're doing a walk to take back our neighborhoods. And we want to invite every member of the community to be a part of this. And what I say is that what happens on one side of Statesboro has the potential to happen all over Statesboro. And so we want you to join in with us. On October the 15th, we'll be meeting at the Kent Street Park, and that's the park that's located on West Gray Street. And we will march from there. We have a route that's laid out, and then we will ultimately culminate at Louetta Moore Park, where we will have a open town hall to address not just those issues, but any issues that may be on any citizen's mind. And what we want to know, the thing that we want to be clear with the city of Statesboro, we're not a city that, as it relates to this matter, that we are lost. We still have the space to make sure we reclaim all of our neighborhoods. But what it's going to take is all of us chipping in on this. And I want to commend Chief Broadhead and his team. The shooting that occurred on Spruce Street, they responded immediately, and they got involved in a foot chase and literally ran down a guy that had an AR-15 and brought him into custody. That's why I stand with our Statesboro Police Department. I'm going to support them with whatever they need, because they are doing the work to keep our community safe. But I would also say this, they need us to do our part. And when and your part is getting off your couch, getting involved in the community, letting individuals that's involved with criminal activity, let them know that this is not a safe space for you. And we want to make sure that they are as uncomfortable as they possibly can be on their way to jail. And we have to be abundantly clear with that. And we do have to understand that there's a lot of folks in this community that feel the same way. We've been getting a lot of messages, and the folks that's living in the neighborhoods that's greatly affected by this, they are tired. And we're going to stand with them, we're going to walk with them, we're going to be with them every step of the way. So with that being said, I do want to check to see if there's any further comments from our council. Councilman Williams.
What time was that at Green Street Park?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
It's the 15th.
The 15th, October the 15th.
Want to highlight the 14th and the 7th activities as well?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so October 7th, the fire department will be out passing out the free smoke alarms starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, something they try to do at least once a year. So they're concentrating on the mobile home parks in the area, in the fire district and in the city of Statesboro. So if somebody knocks on your door and they're wearing a Red Cross or a firefighter's insignia, it's okay, it's legit. They're they'll come in and put it up for you, free smoke alarms to try to help keep Statesboro residents safe. And then the 14th, the Community Resource Family Funding, Blue More. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're super excited about the 14th. This is a great opportunity for our families and young people to come out, have a good time. But more than that, it's about exposing to the community, the resources that we have. We're really excited about what Village Builders is doing. We're putting together our mentoring initiative right now. So we're really excited about that. So look out for opportunities to become a mentor for our young people and open up some doors for them and expose them to some opportunities that can help them lead healthy, positive lives as they grow into adulthood. We got a whole host of activities. Definitely check our Facebook page for updated information as far as that's concerned. Elaine has done a great job of putting that information out there. And I do want to commend Dr. LaSara Mitchell for all of the work that she's doing. We really got a jewel in her. And the work that she's doing to get this program off the ground and the connections that she's making within this community. So October the 14th, Lou Moore Park. And like the time of that is escaping me right now. Do we know the time right offhand?
I don't know off the top of my head either. I'll have to look.
Yeah. If you get there too early, stay. If you get there too early, stay. But we're going to have a good time. So we're all going to be out there. I'm sorry.
It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Lou Moore. All right.
14.
The 14th. Yeah. So the 14th, that weekend is going to be all about community. On the 14th is about kids. On the 15th is about making sure we secure our community. So we might call that the Statesboro Moving Forward weekend. So, but we're super excited about that.
Mr. Mayor, the DSDA will be having Scare on the Square from 9 to 1 the same Saturday, so you can bring the kids down, get them all candied up, sugared up,
Yeah.
and then take them over to Run Wild at the park.
That's right. For great tradition. Absolutely. With that being said, is there any further comments from?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the chief an update on that shooting on Johnson and Spruce. We caught the guy with the AR. Is there anyone who's still outstanding or missing?
So Mayor and Council, we had about 5 independent shooters at that event. We have not identified the other 4. We have shell casings from multiple firearms, then those will be sent for testing as best we can to try to connect them back to firearms. But generally speaking, we're going to have a single eyewitness who is willing to work with us. We think there were as many as somewhere between 300 and 700 people showed up at this party, and at least 5 shooters, and we just haven't got any traction with the folks. But we do know that people from about 4 different counties showed up at this party, so it was advertised far and wide. It started at another location and just kind of moved over there. We have one guy in custody, that's it.
And he was the one with the AR with the rifle.
That's correct. There were 2 rifles involved. We don't have the other one.
What kind of rifle was the other?
probably an AR style. So one was chambered in 5.56 and the other one was in 300 blackout, which are two different rifle cartridges that are chambered in AR rifles. The one we got was the 300 blackout. So there's a 5.56 running around that we don't have. I do have a good report though. The individual that was most seriously wounded at that event is doing well. Shockingly, and that's a credit to Memorial Hospital for saving his life. Really, the EMS folks got him immediately. He showed up at the hospital, but the hospital was able to immediately get him treated and sent off to Memorial, and they saved him. So.
And after the young lady that got him to the hospital, I forget her name right offhand, but she did an amazing job of immediately getting that young man in there, and I have no doubt in my mind that that's what saved his life. So, with that being states where we can do better, and we gonna do better. And so definitely October the 15th, join us, because it has to be a clear stance that we're taking within the community. I'm sorry, Councilman Boyum.
I just wanted to, along those lines, well, one question I have is, my guess is that we are no longer considering giving the Elk Lodge a special alcohol permit, considering this illegal party they threw this weekend. Are we dropping that?
Again, that's a council. That's a council matter that we would bring back to council, and that's up to y'all.
Okay, well, just was curious about that. And then the second thing was, you had mentioned you were surprised that you were able to hire so many firefighters, but I think part of the reason you guys were able to be so successful in that is that you guys put together a coordinated campaign. You did a hiring event, you did videos, and so I'd like to ask council to direct the city manager and HR to put together a similar plan for police officers with the goal of filling these 17 slots in the next 12 months. Let's look at our existing incentives, let's look at our existing starting pay, as well as put together a 6-month plan for hiring police.
I back that. Well, Mayor and Council, that plan was put together by the fire department. And again, we would charge the police department with the same responsibility, and you don't get any pushback from us. We talked about doing that, and so I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Would you do that?
I would like to get an update on that. Push to fill these spots.
So you're saying that,
Next 2 weeks or so, next month.
so you're saying that the fire department came together and put together their own push?
Well, we were involved in the conversation. It did require some additional funds. We put together a television ad. And again, I will tell you, and Mr. Boyd may be surprised, but in this employment market, I was pretty amazed that we were able to fill all 19 slots. And if you told me we were gonna do that when we started, I probably would laugh at you, but you know, maybe it can be done, and we'll look, try. Nothing beats a try.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all I'm asking, Charles. I mean, yeah, we were surprised that when we, really put a focus on the fire department. Yes, I was surprised too that you guys were able to hire so many people so quickly. But I think part of the reason you were able to is that there was a real focus from the administration, from HR, and a collective effort from the entire city administration to fill those slots because there was a real need. Well, I mean, clearly we're seeing a real need for more police officers on the streets, and let's face it, I mean, police officer is a tough job. They're dealing with people after car accidents, after shootings. I mean, if anything, they're probably the biggest group of mental health professionals we have at the city. They're dealing with people in their absolutely worst times, after crimes, after accidents, after, and so we just got to figure out how we can incentivize and get folks to get into that line of work, which is a tough line of work. I mean, people are leaving and going to the port to make only a couple more bucks and sit in a booth. But guess what? They don't get shot at, they don't get yelled at, they don't have to deal with traffic accidents. So we've got to figure out what we need to do, and we're close to something really bad happening. So we got to get more bodies on the street.
Absolutely.
So with that said, we're all in agreement with the push?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything further from council? All right, we're gonna open it up for public comments. Any public comments? All right, seeing that there's no public comments, we do need to move down to agenda item 16. We do have executive session.
Yes.
All right, personnel and anything else? Okay. All right, so we're gonna move down to agenda item 16, consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters and potential litigation in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a vote to go into executive session?
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.